All right, hey everyone. So I'm just introducing myself now. This is my very first video that I'm gonna be posting on YouTube. Uh, just to let you know, hi, my name is Gabe Stefan. Of course, you can find me on IG, and of course on Facebook too. I'll make sure I change my name to Gabe Stefan so it's all aligned, all in one. Um, but this would be my astrology YouTube page. So I would be posting videos. So I'll be doing monthly horoscopes. Also, I'll be doing weekly horoscopes too as well, especially for the collective. That's what it's mainly going to be of. And then I'm also, of course, for like the months and of course for the year, when a new year happens, like for example now, I will be posting for each sign, like the timing of things that could occur in your life and things like that based off of your sun sign or your rising sign as well. So I will be posting a lot of that on YouTube, so I wanted to get that started. And then my daily horoscopes will be posted on my stories for Facebook and Instagram. So that's what's going to be going on with that. So, all right. So just to start off about me a little bit before I go more into the astrology. So first, I'll just start off. I am a sun in Pisces, moon in Aries. Rising sign is Leo, so I have a rising Leo. Eventually, I'll do like a video on my natal chart so that you'll be able to see what I'm talking about and how I pretty much do readings in a sense, and also to how I read the sky and read and interpret what's going on in people's lives, what their purpose is. I can go pretty deep into that because I'd rather be someone who is really good at doing astrology like on a deeper level, not just the superficial, I'll say, like just, oh, here's your personality and this and that and blah 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 blah. No, that's not going to be me. I'm going to be more deep when it comes to astrology. I think that's an eighth house sun. If for those who know what I'm talking about, eighth house sun here. It's a very deep place for the sun to be in. It's a Scorpio ruled area of life, so I like to experience things deeper in life. It's not the usual. It's not the usual. Oh, I want to do what everyone else is doing, and fall in line. No, I do more things on what makes me feel and what makes me experience life on a deeper level. I am not afraid of the taboo stuff, such as, of course, what society has kind of like made it bad or taboo-ish, or like, ooh, that's not normal, or that's considered, only for adults and stuff. So, like, of course, your sex, um, anything occult related. So, I mean, I'm not really too involved in cult, but of course, they put astrology as that. Boo to them, for society thinking that way. But otherwise than that, yeah, definitely sex, death, transformation, rebirth. Also, anything that's hidden truths, deep desires. Let's see, what else? Of course, like receiving things too, as well, as a very Scorpio thing, like receiving things. My life is all about like receiving, especially when it comes to income. I know how to make money, which that's a good thing, I hope. I want to make sure that, of course, I have debt. I'm in debt too, but that's part of that house. Eventually, I know I will get rid of it, put that in the universe. It'll be gone, hopefully by 2030. Um, and and yeah, I like to really, and also too, Sun in eighth house can see right through people and their energy. That's just the way it is. So those who have an 8th house sun, doesn't matter what sign you are, you do experience that. But yeah, of course, I'll talk about that more later when I'm talking about my chart. Like, I'll just go over it. I'm not going to do like a teaching because I'm not a teacher yet. To be honest, I'm a student still of astrology, but I am, from what I've heard from quite a few others, I'm pretty damn good so far. But I will get eventually certified as an astrologer through well-known astrologers when I take their tests and stuff like that. So I'm going to make sure that happens this year. And continue my studies. Even when I get certified, continue my studies because there's so much to astrology that I can fathom. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. So enough about me a little bit. The only other things about me is just, of course, I'm into fitness. Fitness is very important. Of course, you'll see that in my chart too. Why? But yeah, doing fitness and my daily routine, very daily routine focused. And definitely I am getting back into personal training. So of course I'm going to be promoting that too as well. So I am here based in New York. So of course I'm going to try to have like a few clients at a time. So I will be getting back into that, but of course, obviously, I train myself. Got to take care of myself first before I can take care of others. So that's my mantra. And then I also do bartend too as well. So eventually, wherever I go with bartending, of course, I'll put that out there too. If people want to come see me, of course, not to do readings at the bar, but just to see, just to see me and get to know me too as well. I will be posting that too. Of course, I won't be a bartender forever. I have a feeling I'm only going to be doing it for at least 2 more years, max. But it's a good job. Trust me, it's a good job. I'm definitely like happy that I became a bartender. So yeah. All right. So yeah. So into astrology. So for those who have been following me on IG in my stories, of course, I've been posting daily horoscopes for the past 2 months. I have not missed a beat, been doing it every day, and I plan not to miss a beat because I love doing this. This is something I love doing. So when it's things I love doing, I don't like to miss a beat. That's just my personality. That's just who I am. That's my work ethic. When I love doing things, I'm going to be full forth to it. So if you've been following my horoscope, I'm going to bring up a lot of themes that 2020 is going to be. But first I want to wrap up 2019. 2019 was a coming home kind of year. There was quite a few energies that were in their home signs or in their full strength, such as Jupiter in Sagittarius, Saturn in Capricorn. So it's 1, 2. Neptune in Pisces. It's 3. And then, of course, there was times of the year when, because that's a lot already, especially for outer planets, and for these 3 to be there all at the same time is very, very rare. Very rare. So, can I stress that enough? Like, the things that you've done this past year, really made a difference for you going forward. And then, of course, like in the summer when we had the sun in Leo, so that's 4 planets that were all in their home signs at one point. Especially when the sun is in its home sign. The sun is the strongest entity in our zodiac, in our charts. So when the sun is in Leo, it's the strongest thing in the whole chart. It really is. You can't outbeat that. So that's 4. And then, of course, there was at times when all 4 of these were there. The moon was in Cancer, so of course, got that going on. Moon in Cancer is at home too as well. And then sometimes, I think there was at one point, I don't think Mercury made it into Virgo just in time at that time, in September in August. But But then, of course, at one point at the beginning of this year, we had Mars in Aries, which began the year. So we began the year with all these energies that were in their home signs. So knowing that this was a coming home year, and then of course with the North Node in Cancer throughout all the year, it was definitely finding our new home, finding new security, finding a new tribe as well. Tribe meaning like people you surround yourself with, people who make you feel like a family, especially if you're not around your normal family all the time. This was that year to find that. I felt that this year personally. For myself, since I am not from New York, I'm actually from Chicago, so I moved to New York in the summer of 2018. So it takes time to find like the people that you love and adore and things like that. So North Node in Cancer was definitely that, and that's why I said this was definitely a coming home year. Finding your true self as well, knowing your true self, because in 2018, if you definitely worked on like things that were from the past and like your shadow self, if you did all that work, if you were aware of that, 2019 was basically how you're going to take pieces of that and then taking who you are at the core and how are you going to integrate that into the next decade, and are you going to be your true self in the next decade, because that's going to be very important, especially this year, 2020. So just to wrap 2019 up in a nutshell, that it really doesn't even scratch the surface because there was so much data on astrology this fucking year. There was just so much going on in 2019 that, I mean, I wish I had started this at the beginning of 2019, but I don't regret it because I was not at the level I am now with my studies in astrology. Definitely was not at the level that I am now. So it was probably a good thing I did not start, because I want to make sure I'm good, and I want to make sure that I'm in tune with it and do it every day, because I was not doing it every day at the beginning of 2019. So, okay, so now let's talk about 2020 now. So after like looking at, because I look at the past, I look at cycles. I'm not going to show you any charts today because today is just pretty much talking. Of course, the next videos and stuff like that, I will post charts about it, about certain aspects and certain things that I want to talk about. But just to talk about 2020, this year is a one-of-a-kind year. This is a year that we're experiencing astrology that we've never seen in our lives, to be honest. The universe is definitely gearing up to change the world, basically, this year. I feel like 2020 is what we thought 2000 was going to be. I feel like 2020 is going to be that, where we're definitely going to be kicking into the age of Aquarius, coming out of age of Pisces. So we're definitely, we've already changed over into that, in my opinion, since the Mayan calendar has changed back in 2012. But to me, this year is really going to kick in, especially at the end of the year. What the age of Aquarius is going to be about and how we're going to progress forward as a human society, which, just to start off with this year, there's already a lot going on. A lot. I'm not just focusing on the US, because it's not just about the US. Focusing around the world, we have a lot of things going on. We have like protests in multiple countries right now. like in Colombia, Bolivia, which some people are dying because military is actually killing people. Their government's actually killing people. We have protests. I just want to make sure I'm naming the right countries. Iraq. Definitely still probably going on in Hong Kong. I mean, I think it's going to intensify this year again. Let's see, where else? I mean, there's multiple places. I just want to make sure I get my facts straight. I don't want to be just naming countries that I want to get my. That's why I keep up with the news, or try to at least, but not get too deep into it. And then, of course, we have wildfires burning Australia, which it's been the worst probably they've experienced thus far. So climate change will definitely be on top of the list this year. And then, of course, we have our political stuff that's been going on. Of course, here in the U.S., you already know. I'm not going to get too deep into that. I mean, we have the impeachment thing that's going to be going on. I'm not going to get too deep in that. If you know me, you already know where I stand with that stuff, so I'm just going to leave it at that. And of course, the UK, Brexit. We already know that's going to go ahead and go through now, especially now they elected Boris Johnson as their leader, or I think Prime Minister. I would say Prime Minister. Yeah. Just correct me in the comments if I'm naming the positions correctly or not. But yeah, we have a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of change in our way we govern ourselves and the way the political structure is structured in our democracies. I mean, let's just start off. There's going to be some main things and themes this year. And we're already starting off with the Saturn-Pluto alignment, which is a very, I think, intense point of this year, which is funny. It's coming up on what day? January 12th. That's coming up very quickly. We have 10 more days. But not just that. I'll just say 8 more days. Because January 10th, there's already a lot going on January 10th. First off, right now we're in the middle of eclipse season. So anything we do, choices we make right now, actions we take, it's very karmic period right now. And it's very intense because Saturn rules Capricorn, and Pluto's there too, and we have all these other planets in the Sun in Capricorn, and we have the South Node in Capricorn. It's a very karmic time of clearing, a very karmic time of purging things that our souls cannot carry forward. Because if we keep carrying it, it's going to be an anchor, a weight, especially going throughout the year. It's all about climbing a mountain this year, especially for some of us. It's all about climbing that mountain, but shedding things that we don't need. You don't want to be climbing a mountain with a bunch of baggage, emotional weight, people who we don't want to be around anymore, or doing things that we don't want to do and being distracted by so much shit. You're not going to get up that mountain. You're just not. So knowing that, the Saturn-Pluto, for our personal lives, depending on your natal chart, if you know your natal chart, some people will be highly affected by it, some people not as much, but it can still affect them on a worldly level. They'll see it on a worldly level, as we're seeing it right now. Saturn and Pluto has not aligned with each other since 1982-83, and that was in the sign of Libra. So, of course, I had to deal with relationships, how we structure our relationships, how are we transforming through relationships, especially since we're dealing with Pluto. Pluto is all about transformation, deep transformations, force collapses, force destruction. Pluto is a powerhouse, is one of the most powerful planets in the zodiac. And yes, we consider it as a planet in astrology for those who are just based off of astronomy. They don't base it. I'm still upset that they don't add Pluto as a planet, but hey, that's what they want. Cool. But Pluto's a planet in my eyes, and in astrology eyes, it is, and it's a very important planet. So, and then of course, with Pluto, we can't see it in the sky. So this is a lot of hidden stuff that's been going on in the background. Pluto does represent your power authorities, people who hold power or hold positions of power, people who like politicians in some sense. Definitely like your military. That's Pluto ruled. Any of that nature, and then Saturn, of course, represents your governments, how we govern society at large, the structures that we build in life. It's all about timing with Saturn. It's all about karma. It's all about a lot of things. So meshed into up together in Capricorn, sign of Capricorn, we're definitely going to see some kind of collapse in how democracy runs. We're definitely going to see a collapse in maybe even some financial systems over the next couple weeks. And this alignment really intensifies, of course, right now, but it really intensifies January 10th because we have a lunar eclipse happening on January 10th. So I will talk about more about that in a separate video because I don't want to focus on that. But it will be just a theme just to bring up. It will be a slap to some, I'll say probably a lot of people's faces. It will be a slap to a lot of people's faces, to be honest, on January 10th or around that time. That lunar eclipse is no joke. It's a very intense lunar eclipse, I have to say. So, especially with the moon in Cancer opposing all of the Capricorn shit. Yeah. That's a lot. That's a lot to handle. And it all has to do with the choices you've been making. And the lunar eclipse is either going to give you the boost of energy that you need emotionally to continue forth on the path you're on, or it's going to slap you in the face if you're going in the wrong direction. Simple as that. I'm just going to keep it that way for right now, but of course I'm going to do a separate video on the lunar eclipse along with the chart so I can explain it deeper. And then of course that same day. So some places in the world it'll be January 11th, but for here in the US, the same day, Uranus goes direct that day. It stations direct. So it'll be finished with its retrograde that day, which I find very interesting that that's happening. And then January 12th, we have the Saturn-Pluto alignment. So it's very interesting. But of course, I'm going to do a separate video on that. Of course, if you want to, right now, if you still want a little bit more information from me about the Saturn-Pluto alignment, you can go on my Instagram. I have it highlighted as a horoscope. I do have it highlighted, so you can check that out. So that's after those two align, Saturn and Pluto, they will be traveling together still in Capricorn. So, knowing that, pretty much for the rest of January especially, we're definitely going to see the outcomes of Saturn and Pluto in our lives. We'll definitely see the cement, the closed door behind us to keep moving forward with what decision we made. And then it's just pretty much, it's going to be intense January, or this month basically, because I'm filming this on January 2nd. So yeah, it's going to be intense. So along with that, we have Jupiter in Capricorn that's going to catch up with Pluto eventually. So those two would be making alignments throughout the year, which would be from April to November. They'll be traveling together forward, retrograde, and then forward. They'll meet up 3 times throughout the whole year. But that would be between April and November, which I find that actually a pretty good combination. Way better than Saturn and Pluto. Way better. And luckily we just have Saturn and Pluto meeting once, so at least that. But Jupiter and Pluto, that will definitely implement the new changes, the new beliefs, the new structures, the new traditions that people want to create. It's definitely going to be, I think, a positive force of power this year. And then also, too, Jupiter will be making I'll say in total 3 sextiles to Neptune in Pisces. So definitely that's going to support, spiritually, it will support our new changes throughout the year. Because Jupiter was making squares last year to Neptune 3 times, and that, I think a lot of people found that it was hard to start things, or it was hard to really focus on our expanding on our knowledge in the world, and especially politically. It was a very political year, and it was definitely, the Jupiter and Neptune squares were definitely dividing a lot of people throughout the world on what to believe and who they should believe, especially when it came to the news and media. And it was hard to decipher through that last year, to be honest. It was very difficult to decipher through that. And I think what helped is if you just stayed out of it and just focused on your adventure, then you were fine, pretty much. I mean, it didn't bother you that much. It didn't bother me that much after the second half of the year, because the first half of the year I was really focusing on the news shit, but then after that I just said, I gave up on it. I was just like, no, I need to focus on me. So that's why I said I felt like second half of the year in terms of going on an adventure was way better. But yeah, back to this year. We have those aspects going on, which I think those are major. I think those are very transformational aspects. And then now, also, the nodes will switch over from the Cancer Capricorn axis to the Gemini Sagittarius axis in May. So our purposes or as a collective, will change a bit too as well. So hopefully by that time we already found our tribe and people we want to surround ourselves with, and really work on our facts, work on, actually connecting with people in our environments a lot more better. The North Node is exalted in Gemini, which I'll talk about that more later. It's a good place for the North Node, in my opinion. There's a couple placements where it's good, and there's a couple placements where it can seem like more of a challenge, but it just all depends. But I do believe that North Node in Gemini is a good placement. So we'll have that, and of course we'll still continue to have the eclipses. We'll be blending the eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn, especially on summer solstice. I believe there's a solar eclipse. Yeah, I think. Am I correct? Yeah, 0 degrees of Cancer. There'll be a solar eclipse there on the solstice. I think it's June 21st. And then we'll still continue to have eclipses in Capricorn too. We'll have the lunar eclipse in Capricorn in the summer, which is actually pretty tense since the moon will be on Pluto at that point, I believe. Pluto and Jupiter. I might be wrong, but Pluto will definitely be involved with that lunar eclipse, highly. And then of course we'll have some eclipses in Sagittarius and Gemini. So we'll change the flavor of things that are occurring. And then we have a Venus retrograde next year, or this year, excuse me, because this is 2020. We do have a Venus retrograde occurring in May. So it does its 40-day retrograde cycle. It will be in Gemini, all in Gemini. It will be providing nutrients in that area of life, but it will definitely be changing up some things too for some people. And then just to add up, I think this one's going to be more of the highlight of the year too, in my opinion, which is rare to have Venus and Mars to retrograde in the same year. We have Mars retrograding in the second half of the year, I think September through November or something like that. And Mars retrogrades are long. And it's going to be in Aries. It's going to be in Aries for 6 months. Yeah, it's going to be in Aries for 6 months. That's a long fucking time. And Mars is at home in Aries, so it's going to be a very powerful retrograde. I'm clutching my pearls with that one. I'm already grabbing my crystal with that one because that one, yeah, that one's going to be intense. Of course, it's going to be happening before our elections here in the U.S. That's all I have to say with that one. I'm going to really go deep into that, but yeah, Mars retrograde is going to happen. Mars will be in Aries, I think, by the end of June until the beginning of January of 2021. So, and when it's in Aries, it will be making squares, hard aspects to all the Capricorn shit. And that is going to be very intense for a lot of people. It's going to square Jupiter, it's going to square Pluto, it's going to square Saturn 3 times. I mean, the only one is Saturn where it won't square it in Capricorn for the final square. Because by that time Mars squares Saturn in 2021 for the last final time, it'll be in Aquarius and Mars will be in Taurus by that time. So, but still, that's a lot to deal with in terms of squares, especially for the collective. And then there's 2 more things I want to point out. Because I want to wrap up this video because I don't want to lose people's attentions. One of the things which I remember I follow one of the astrologers on YouTube as well. He brought this up, and I was like, "That's very interesting." And I'll credit him for like bringing that up. Steve Judd, he brought that up in his astrology YouTube page. If you want to follow him too, he's really good. He mentioned, I think, October 16th, which is actually, I looked at the astrology that day too. It's very intense that day. I feel like that is another. I feel like January 12th is one critical point or like big theme of the year, and then October 16th is going to be another point of interest to look at in